For this week's video journal, I thought it was really interesting to hear Frankie Ferrari and Cassidy Flynn talk about their experience with acting and how they still use what they learned in university. Even though they had different answers, I noticed they both said their training still had a big impact on the way they work today. Frankie talked a lot about staying in the moment and really paying attention to the other actors instead of worrying too much about what he's supposed to do next. That stood out to me because I feel like it's something that could apply to a lot of things, not just acting. If you're too focused on what you're going to do next, you're not really paying attention to what's happening right in front of you. Cassidy's answer was a little different. She talked more about trusting the work she has already done before going on stage. Instead of trying to make everything perfect, she said it's important to trust yourself and let the performance happen naturally. I liked hearing both of their answers because they weren't exactly the same, but they still connected in a way. They both showed that acting isn't about trying to force emotions or make everything look perfect. It's about being honest, staying focused, and reacting to what's happening in the scene. The part where they talked about playing teenagers was probably my favorite part of the interview because I never really thought about how actors deal with playing characters that are younger than they actually are. Both Frankie and Cassidy said they don't try to act like a stereotype of a teenager because it would probably come across as fake. Instead, they focus on what the character is feeling. Frankie explained that emotions like being nervous, excited, scared, or trying to figure out who you are things almost everyone experiences, no matter how old they are. Cassidy said something similar, but she also mentioned remembering what it felt like to actually be at that age and using those memories to help build the character. I think their answers worked really well together because they were coming from slightly different perspectives, but ended up with the same goal, which is making the character feel real. It reminded me that good acting isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about finding something you can personally connect to and using that to make the audience believe the character. The answer that stood out to me the most was Cassidy's response about the moment in the play that she looked forward to every night. I expected her to choose one of the biggest or most emotional scenes, but instead she talked about a moment where she felt really connected with the other actors and the audience. I thought that was really interesting because it shows that an actor's favorite part isn't always the biggest scene. Sometimes it's just a moment where everything feels natural and everyone is working together. That also made me think about everything we've been learning this semester about the actor's process. Acting isn't just about memorizing lines and repeating the same performance every night. Every audience reacts differently, so every show is a little different. The actors have to stay present and be ready to react honestly every single performance. I never really thought about how much the audience could change the feeling of a scene until hearing them talk about it. Overall, I really enjoyed the interview because it gave a better idea of what acting is. It made me realize that there's a lot more to it than just learning lines. It takes preparation, trust, teamwork, and the ability to stay in the moment. Hearing both Frankie and Cassidy talk about their experience made acting seem a lot more real, and it helped me understand why every performance can feel different when it's the same play.